They're blanking the lines.
There's some chairs over here, and there's chairs around. Get yourself a glass of wine. Gary, could you turn those dimmers down just a tad bit right over there? It's kind of bright for people up there. Up a little bit, just so we want to see these people. Yeah, we'll keep it. All right. Thank you for coming. Let's see. Little thing there is, for those people who are really get excited about lots of different organ writers, we have the Organ Writers Collective here tomorrow at 7, which is a very exciting, hip new group of people. There are about 150 of them. A lot of young associate profs, people with 1 and 2 books who are trying to help each other group up, and it's very stimulating. You're going to have a woman editor who has done, she's edited a 2-volume diary of her crazy grandma in Oregon in the 1920s, and other people. But it's been very stimulating evening. And this is a very special night, for me anyway. I'm just speaking personally, Claudia Lapp and Jenny Root here. They're 2 long-time friends. Great moments. Great moments. A lot of treasured memories and heartfelt opportunities to learn, which I have really appreciated. It's a fantastic blend. And we're here to celebrate them tonight. And I think we'll just bring them on up. Wow, can I help you?
Thanks, Scott. Thank you so much. And we are going to have a really good time tonight. We're really looking forward to this reading, and thank you all for being here. It means a lot to both Claudia and I. Thank you to James for playing guitar beforehand. And we're also very grateful to be here at Tsunami Books. Tsunami Books does so much for the community, as you all know. And we're still here, and we're very grateful to have this stage. So, my dear.
It's tempting to try to make a lot of remarks, but let's just kind of keep to our schedule for now and not get too sentimental too soon. Although I think there'll be a lot of heart waters flowing this evening, given the astrology of the evening. Okay, so at this point, I want to thank our publishers, without whom we are much more naked and ragged. And I must say that having Catherine Rydell and her partner, Roger Berry, as publishers has been one of the great gifts, not only to Jenny and I personally, but also to the community, because they've brought us many books. And
one of those books was the River Anthology, What the River Brings, poems by Oregon poets on the rivers. Excellent book. No laptop, look for it. It's got to be here.
And I'm sorry.
No, just that Catherine Rydell of Faye Press did that, and Roger too. So,
And you know, those jobs are like the jobs of unsung heroes too. There's so much work behind that, so much nitty gritty. And to be able to be friends with your publishers and not want to tear their hair out is a real gift. So thank you ever so much. So in thanks and gratitude to our poet publisher, Catherine, we would like to read her poem, First Word. This poem appeared in Original Weather by Uttered Chaos Press. First Word, after a work on paper by the artist Robert Tomlinson. From the original hand it comes, stylus of sap and light, piercing seas empty drift, bestowing a new alphabet.
Stylus of sap and light into basin of salted gas, bestowing a new alphabet, letters swirl in the sea.
Into basin of salted gas, binding, wheeling apart, letters swirl in the sea, undreamed of syllables.
Binding, wheeling apart, salt clots, proteins spark, undreamed of syllables, first word of the deep.
Salt clots, protein sparks, and eyeless creature trolls, first word of the deep. From the original hand it comes.
So that was Catherine Rydell's poem. So just to let you know a little bit about tonight's evening. Anyway, Claudia will read first. There'll be a short break, and then I'll read. And so it's my pleasure now to let you know a little bit more about Claudia Lapp. So she and I have known each other since she moved here in 1991, and we've read together often. But I also remember Claudia reading at Baba Yaga's Dream, if some of you remember the feminist performance space and coffee house on Willamette back in the 90s. I remember her performing When Green Ants Dream at that space, and she's quite the performer. She and I have also read together here on this stage with Denise Wallace back in 2000, an event that Claudia dreamed up called Poets on Fire, which was a ton of fun. And she and I have also read at Crow High School, the visits to Crow High School, and we've read together sometimes poems with multiple voices like that. So it's a treat to be reading together again. Her background, she was born in Stuttgart, Germany, and the book that she has tonight that she's reading, Buch. Buch is German for book, so there's resonances with her early life there. And a little bit more about Claudia here in town. She led a reading series at the original Cosmic Pizza when it was on Willamette Street several years ago. There was a reading series outside in that yard, and she curated that. She's published some other chapbooks, and she has been for many years a docent or exhibit interpreter at the Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art, now exhibitor interpreter emeritus. And I know that you will very much enjoy her reading tonight, Claudia Lapp.
The last time Jenny and I and poet Denise Wallace were on this stage was 13 years ago in 2000, December 1st, Poets on Fire. And we packed the house then, and we're doing pretty well for a Thursday night. The Buch is an old poem, a poem of my youth, but it's been refreshed and revised. It's been widely read in Canada. It was written in Montreal. And it was one of those gifts of the night. It came to me at 3 a.m., got to get up, it's February and cold, and it came out in block letters, kind of in a cross style between Gertrude Stein and Canadian poet B.P. Nichol. And it treats our relationship with books. Now, if you speak German, you'll know that the German word for the beech tree is Buche. So I speak about that in this poem. And my mother, who was German born, and German was my first language, loved poetry. So it's a simple poem. It's a poem meant to be read aloud and shared. And I also want to thank Ellen Gabehart for the wonderful illustrations in the book. She was commissioned for this. And I don't know if Judith is here. No, okay. Buch. Book is bunch of leaves, alive. Book is Buch, is beech, bark of Buch containing writ from within, or writ from without, writ from below belly. Buch is Buch writ, leaves, alive. Sometimes unread Buch waits on shelf, no charge. Another Buch shines and shimmies, attracts your eyes. Lacking luster, you notice yellow glow. Little charge in you cries out. Buch answers, hey, I have what you need. My leaves wing out. Do you feel me? So you say, oh yes, Buch, I'll take you home and eat you all up. Hungry you picks up live Buch, opens leaves to just the page that makes you jump and shout. What a lift. When eaten, Buch is not used up. Held by you, Buch is even more alive. And when apart, you are in Buch, Buch in you. With time, any Buch can lose its charm. Buch has filled you. Food you took has changed to something new, not in Buch, in you. So, Buch loses blush, grows heavy, falls from favor. No more charge between you and Buch. Buch must go. In satchel for exchange or sale. You let go of used Buch to chat up a new one. I've heard about you. Buch answers, I've been expecting you. You take new Buch home to bed or study or bath. Turn pages slow. Passion sparks heart, wings open out, and carry you to far worlds, carry you to very far worlds. With luck, Big Buch comes your way, evergreen, keeps its leaves, while others lose color, drop from your hands. Big Buch tells you it's never too late to open, never too late to change. Big Buch is many Buch. You read over and over. Buch is more each time, shakes your mind anew. Title and runes the same, Buch the same, not same. How can this be? Because Big Buch does not die. Even if leaves and spine are torched by thugs of war, drenched by tsunami or flood, powers of this Buch cannot be denied. When a big Buch finds you, go to quiet grove of ancient cedars and feel this Buch in you. That's okay. How bad is it?
We can hear the type.
No, it just stopped.
It stopped.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we can do this.
No, you're okay.
Yeah, that's where.
It stopped.
Why
Oh,
did they even?
we just needed to, we needed to take a break and come back for the last part, which is, sages need no Buch. They are living Buch. Dervishes spin in dusty robes, carrying no Buch but heart leaves. Someday, you and I must let go of our Buch. Until then, they are feast and amulet, tonic and elixir, our trusted familiars. Well, bringing Buch back to the public like this means so much to me. And I am going to give you intersperse some remarks by other poets about our relationship with books. And we book lovers, shall I keep carrying on?
Yes.
Carry on.
Okay, so we book lovers often are introverts. At least we get to be introverts when we read. And I wanted to read an excerpt by Ken Morris, a Canadian colleague of mine, that he wrote for A.M. Klein. As children, we have our imaginary friends, perfect companions whose devotion is total. While other children play in the sunshine, we roam the vast territories of books. To begin life in such a solitary way is to strike an important blow for the imagination, to take significant first steps away from the crowd. If lucky, we turn outward at last, a book offered to the eyes of the world. The world may even embrace us then, with perfunctory affection, before sending us off to the reservation, or the gulag, or the quiet house. Okay, good. Thank you so much, Scott. Okay, so here we are reading in the bookstore, and I'd like to start with a poem about my coming here to Eugene in 1991. And actually, it turns out that Scott was one of the very first people I met here in town. This is a poem about what brought me and my husband Gary here. Place that's kept me. And it starts with, it's going to start with some dreams. Willamette Valley, it was your waters lured me from the other coast. This place that's kept me for more years than any other, claimed me in April morning in Cottage Grove. From deep sleep I entered sun and rain shine, creek gushing by fir branches sequined, and long dreams perfectly recalled. A mare in foal drink from my hands. A scuba diver wades to me from the ocean. My husband finds an old book on Mercury, the deity. At a wedding reception, French is spoken. Coins and bills fly, partout, partout. We venture into high mountains, an outcropping of pink crystals above a reservoir. Water wide as Niagara rushing into it. So this poem, Jenny, is for you, and it represents your fighting spirit and your defense of the forest.
Ambiance.
I'm happy without it if you can hear me.
Oh, no.
It's better with the,
No, you need the mic. You need the mic. No, oh no, don't do that.
Girls occupy old growth. Starts with a quote by a California activist. The destruction of the planet is so severe we'd be fools not to attempt bold new tactics. Bared breasts speak a language bloggers understand. Can't get mad at a woman who walks up to your cab, flowers in her hair, globes jiggling, reciting poetry to your face in English and Spanish, then defies the company to stop felling old growth. Today, radical tactics are needed. Even Julia butterflies with 7,000, even Julia butterflies 700 plus days, 40 feet up in the strong branches of Luna, couldn't shield her redwood trunk from the fury of night stalkers and their chainsaws. Meanwhile, in downtown Vancouver, Briony, 40, rides naked in protest of logging on Salt Spring Island. I've got a PhD, and no one listens. I take my clothes off, and here you all are. And in a similar vein, on the vein of resonance with the natural world and mourning the demise of greenery. What am I doing?
Ignore the head.
All right. I'm going to keep going like this.
We can hear you.
Bow breaks. This is a series of four-length poems. Bow breaks. Knaves, she cries, dreaming a sight giants in sawdust falling, the last shackled in metal braces, awaiting termination, rough trunk pumping ancient life force into the summer sky. 2. Hasn't she always wept at the demise of shade givers, forest censors, from early on praised greenwoods, grieved favorites lost to natural disasters? Her first willow perch uprooted by hurricane, and later in pajamas and slippers, didn't she face off the bulldozer just before it toppled a pink dogwood in full bloom? 3. She remembers a rare dawn redwood on campus, last pendulous blossoms offered from curve of a long waist. That warm September it was taken down, on a Sunday most likely to avoid protesters. Not a single limb left at the construction site, the death warrant impossible to trace. 4. A century ago, World War quickened industry's unrelieved pace, while J.R. Tolkien warned in mossy voice, nobody cares for the woods anymore. An excerpt from Wallace Stevens, the house was quiet and the world was calm. The house was quiet, the world was calm, the reader becomes the book, and summer night was like the conscious being of the book. The words were spoken as if there was no book, except that the reader leaned above the page. When Jenny and I went to, and Quentin also went out to Crow High School to speak to these wonderful high school English class, honors class. I asked how many of them kept journals, I mean paper journals. Not a one, in a class of over a dozen. They didn't do it. It was not a real activity. And also in the same vein, actually, I'd like to read something now, so that we remember the privilege it is to be able to write poetry and not risk imprisonment. Not yet. Nazım Hikmet, the Turkish poet, spent last 15 years of his life in exile from his family. And here's a few lines from 1 a.m. Our books, friendly, honest, and courageous, are stacked up on the blue print tablecloth. I've been freed from captivity. It's 1 a.m. We haven't turned off the light. Maybe in half an hour or toward morning, my house will be raided again. They might take me away along with our books. Boy, the time is flying here. Many of us were fortunate enough to hear the Dalai Lama recently when he spoke at Nat Night Arena, filling all 11,000 seats. And in his spiritual journey, he has written, I am often moved by little insects, like bees, speaking on the interdependence of all life. And I have many altars in my house, mostly to Buddhist deities, but not only. And the one to Kuan Yin has been very active lately. Kuan Yin presence. Flowers set on my altar next to Kuan Yin last a long time. Don't wilt as fast when stems and blossoms touch her porcelain hands or sleeves. leaning close to her slender form. Even sprigs of hardy cedar benefit, and roses open wider than expected, beautiful, even in decline. I'm not making this up. When, under Kuan Yin's earlobe, a dark speck shows up, I imagine her skin itching. A closer look reveals the curled-up form of a small insect, ant or flea, nestled on her neck between the headdress and the long-stemmed lotus she holds. For days, the tiny being takes refuge, legs tucked under, as if in hibernation or asleep. Jenny, remind me what my time frame is. How have you? I just want to make sure I don't
Just
overstep.
what you feel comfortable with.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm mindful. Been reading Carlos Williams again, and he's given me permission to write about the very ordinary in non-precious language. So this is just an image of family, and it's actually, it was also inspired a little bit by poems in translation by Jean Follin, the French poet, translated by W.S. Morgan. Family in late July. Oh, and my cats insisted that I read this one also. Ambler and Herbie. The youngest house cat, mere kitten, jumps from sofa, unaware how handsome her tawny spotted belly and striped coat. In high voice proclaims her hunger to me, chosen guardian, and mistakes clink of coffee beans for kibbles. Next comes ring-tailed elder at patio door after night's anonymous acts, mostly sleeping on soft dirt near the corn. Slowly he enters, eating very little in a toothless bardo of his own. He no longer chases the kitten away. My husband mounts his bike for work in helmet and red windbreaker. Green ankle straps keep trousers tidy. I watch his backpack get smaller as he skirts by our two aging Toyotas in the driveway. A cloudy morning in July. The female cat was one who I started feeding, and it turned out I was able to find her through the chip and reunited her with her family, which had moved to Portland. Happy ending. Okay. Not all books are big Buch, but they can nevertheless entertain us mightily. And there's no judgment here, you know. You can like Pulp Fiction. It's okay. You can like trash. I have my horse novels. All right, this is called Ambush. A slow Sunday, just the morning to head out to Coastal Farm Supply in search of bushel baskets for our fall potato harvest. Racks of horseshoes draw me like a magnet. Colorful halters and saddle blankets fuel dreams of day-long rides in the redwoods. A few aisles down, my husband eyes pruning tools and costly wood chippers. I wasn't expecting livestock. We peer down at baby bunnies with dark fur, noisy chicks sorted by color, yellow, speckled, gray, and russet. Their chirps feed homestead fantasies. We resist their charm. And I wave adios to a saddle, hand-tooled in Texas. We're on our way to the checkout, baskets in hand, when a big voice hooks us. Do you like mysteries? A burly guy at wooden table waits neat piles of his paperbacks for sale. none are about composting of dahlias. We soon find out as the author starts his spin who was, for real, the first non-Indian police chief on the Warm Springs Reds. Our time is arrested. We're pulled into the core of his novels, a collision of worlds, white and Indian, and political murders in the Southern Hemisphere. After the in-depth previews, my husband hands over his plastic easily. The ex-cop inscribes a book to each of us. Into the waiting sunshine, we carry our prizes, impatient for a good read when night falls. Oh, this is a little comic relief. I wrote this poster from 1996. You know, we have to put up with filibuster all the time. This one, Jenny helped organize this reading and benefit for the arts. And there were about 60 people reading in this marathon. So I will, you can look at it later. All right. I'm going to end very soon here. Hard as it is, find the one piece of paper I'm looking for. So I'm going to end with a poem that's in progress, and I'm going to read an excerpt from it. It's was written in response to a 20-minute video at the George Schnitzer Museum called Transients by Xiao Sept, a young Chinese artist whose exhibit was shown a couple of years ago. And it is, the subject matter is books, and the subject matter of his exhibit was written media. So these are just descriptions of what you see. To soft tones of stringed instruments, the voluptuous loose leaves float and drift, rescued from basement stacks of old Chinese libraries. Once bound together by strings, now torn apart, they float free and drift, ashes in black space, pages thin as silk, transparencies carried by unseen winds into emptiness, paper sleeves and skirts, bearing only traces of language or characters. Uncovered, no longer bound by bookness. What do they have to say? What meaning outside the context of companion pages? The artist has tossed into air a motley library of books to record in slow motion their downward tumble. Firmly bound between covers, titles legible, bound by geography, culture, and slant, Freud's Psychology of Dreams dances heavily with Sartre's Nausea and Mao's Red Book. Authors celebrated with force of habit by lyrics of East and West. Karl Marx shares space with Shakespeare, and there's Mao again, with tattered Taoist texts and modern paperbacks emblazoned with Yang and Yin. Chao Tse mixes what the Cultural Revolution set out to destroy, no stopping his dynamic audio-enhanced collage. The stringed instrument slows, softens to piano, no trace of books rended or burned, only fabric or fiber to evoke a face of a fox, a brown bat, the edges of what were book pages, only muddy blurs, unreadable, words erased, soft garments flung off in passion, a golden ginkgo leaf in autumn, falling into soft darkness and silence on the screen. Transients. nuzzle and picnic, written from prison, and I've gone like a bullet through 10 years of slavery. My heart hasn't changed. Send me books with happy endings. The airplane with broken wings should touch down safely. The doctor leave the operating theater with smiles. The poet's books should sell by the million. Lovers meet, wed, and celebrate in joy. No one should be deprived of bread, rose, the sun, and liberty. Oh, send me books with happy endings. Shall I now?
Well, yeah, we'll take a break, maybe 10 minutes, just short.
Thank you.